Hello and welcome back to the last episode of Silent Hill 2. Now this episode will be me just talking over the footage and try and give you a plot analysis of what has happened. But before we do that, in case you didn't see what happened at the end of the previous episode, it was James murdering his wife by suffocating her with a pillow. Now let's jump on to the plot analysis. This is by Seamus Young. You can find that at SeamusYoung.com. And he writes, what interests me about this game is the other four people we encounter in town. Laura, Angela, Maria and Eddie. Know that when we meet these people, our perception of the town changes. Eddie, for example. Years of scorn has filled Eddie with rage. He's come to Silent Hill to deal with that hate in one way or another. Instead of seeing a town full of monsters, he seems to see it as a place where people taunt and insult him. Silent Hill is a place filled with either strangers or people from Eddie's own past who tear him down. Perhaps this is a reflection of his childhood. Perhaps his own journey was to see if he could find forgiveness for these people, or to learn what it is about himself that makes him so unpopular. Perhaps he could learn that he hurts others as much as they hurt him. We don't know what his problem was. However, Eddie's journey is a failure. He lashes out and starts slaughtering everyone. His rampage ends when he meets a real person, James, and is killed. Angela. When James gets near Angela, the town stops looking like a rotting ruin and takes on a more domestic feel. You find a wall that is actually off-white with a non-rotting door, both of which are covered in newspaper clippings about house fires and murders. Angela is filled with self-loathing. She was abused by her father and eventually ended the abuse by killing him. However, this didn't cure the self-loathing. Like many abuse victims, she had been taught to believe that she was worthless and unlovable. With her father
looking for you. Now you're the only one left. Maybe then I can rest. Mama, why are you running away? You're not my mama. It's you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Angela, no.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No, don't pity me. I'm not worth it. Or maybe you think you can save me. Will you love me? Take care of me? Heal all my pain? That's what I thought. James, give me back that knife.
No, I won't.
Saving it for yourself?
Me? No, I'd never kill myself. It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
Dead, she can no longer hope that one day he will repent, apologize, and say that he loves her. It doesn't matter that he was probably never capable of this. From her point of view, that was the one thing she could hope for that would heal her. And by killing him, she also killed that hope. So she comes to Silent Hill to choose between life and death for herself. The first time she and James meet, she's sitting in the graveyard. Later, she's in a more or less normal bedroom, staring at a knife. James managed to talk her into giving up the knife, but is pretty confused himself and is in no shape to offer Angela real help. Later, James rescues her as she's being menaced by a monster. You see a big monster shaped like a black door, but Angela repeatedly calls it Daddy during the fight. At the end, she joins in the killing of the monster. This is another clue as to how the town worked. She was probably reliving a moment with her father when James came in and intervened. She saw her father, but all we saw was a freakish monster.
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
On their final meeting, he finds Angela at the inn. She's standing in the burning hallway, which we just witnessed by the way. Note that this is an interesting twist. When you go into another room away from Angela, there is no fire, no smoke, and no sounds of fire. The fire only exists when Angela is near. So she sees the inn burning to the ground, and James sees it as he sees everything else, damp, rotting, and cold. He finally makes a try at talking her into choosing life, but it's hopeless. He hasn't expressed any real empathy for her until now, and it's too late to start. She walks into the flames, embracing death. When Laura is around, everything looks perfectly normal. We see the town as it really is, or was, with no distortion at all when she's around. This explains how Laura survives the monsters and traps. For her, there aren't any. She sees Silent Hill as a big, empty town. She never shows any signs of fear, she's innocent, and unlike the others, she doesn't seem to be here to face any personal demons. She doesn't even understand what the others are going through. At one point early in the game, James finds Eddie and Laura hanging out at the bowling alley and enjoying a pizza. This is interesting. In James's Silent Hill, there is nothing but decay, and the idea of finding food is ludicrous. But for Eddie and Laura, the town is normal enough that they can get their hands on a fresh pizza. This might have been Eddie's chance at redemption. Laura spent time with him, which could have been a catalyst for Eddie to help give him some sense of empathy or gentleness, but it didn't seem to work. In one ending of the game, James gets his act together and leaves with Laura. In the other endings, we don't see what happens to her, but it is safe to assume she turns out fine. The town is no danger to her, and she can probably leave whenever she wants. Maria. Unlike the other three, I think Maria is not a real person. That is, in many ways, she's just another monster James has to face. She comes back from apparent death, which isn't something the other characters ever do. She doesn't seem to have her own view of Silent Hill, as the town remains unchanged when she's around, and in fact, she seems to see things as James does. She also defies real-world reasoning. It doesn't make sense that a woman who looks exactly like Mary would just happen to be waiting in the park when James goes there, or the woman would happen to have such a similar name. And later, of course, she has access to some of Mary's memories. The only conclusion is that Maria is another demon sent to torment James. The other three characters never see or mention her. In fact, she avoids encountering Eddie and Laura at the bowling alley, preferring to stay outside. It's possible that if she were to go inside, she would appear differently to the others, much like the way Angela saw the door monster as her own father.
Mary?
What do you want, James?
I brought you some flowers.
Flowers? I don't want any damn flowers. Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Between the disease and the drugs, I look like a monster. Well, what are you looking at? Get the hell out of here. Leave me alone already. I'm no use to anyone. I'll be dead soon anyway. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It'd be easier if they'd just kill me. But I guess the hospital is making a nice profit off me. They want to keep me alive. Are you still here? I told you to go. Are you deaf? Don't come back. James. Wait. Please don't go. Stay with me. Don't leave me alone. I didn't mean what I said. Please, James. Tell me I'll be okay. Tell me I'm not going to die. Help me.
There is no question that Pyramid Head is a monster, but it's different from the others. We see Pyramid Head doing awful things to other lesser monsters in the game. Furthermore, every time Maria is killed, is Pyramid Head doing the killing. The player usually has a real grudge against the Pyramid Head the first time through the game. But once we learn that what James has done, we can see that Pyramid Head is reflecting James's own crime. His repeated killing of Maria is there to force James to face his own murder of Mary. Another note about Pyramid Head is that he is invincible. The player never ever harms or defeats Pyramid Head in any way. James survives the encounters with them by running. At the finale, he is forced to fight them for a while, but in the end, Pyramid Head just stops fighting and impales himself on his own spear. James never really harms him. Pyramid Head is the Grim Reaper. You can't beat him in combat. The question is, are these other people, Laura, Angela and Eddie, fellow travelers who have come to Silent Hill? Are they real? Or are they more like Maria?
Mary?
Wrong again. Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? Maria, I'm done with you.
What do you mean? But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted.
Now I understand. The problem is, you're not married.
No, James. I won't let you. I'll never let you have your Mary back.
Entities created by the town itself to help or hinder James on his way. It is possible that they are all pilgrims like James, who have been drawn or called to Silent Hill to confront their past. However, this doesn't explain how a child like Laura could reach the town on her own, or how she survives. She doesn't have to face monsters, but she would still need to take care of herself, which is a big job for an 8-year-old. And here's another plot analysis. Each of the characters could be seen to represent an aspect of James. In this view, none of these people are real, but are only summoned by James and his guilty conscience as he wanders around the empty town. The Ruffled Eddie represents his hatred for others. The suicidal Angela represents his hatred of himself. The sexy Maria, to James that is, represents his love of self, for wanting a new improved wife to replace the old. Finally, the innocent Laura represents his love for others. Note that in this view we don't need to worry about how Laura got to Silent Hill on her own or how she takes care of herself. If these other people are part of the nightmare world, then they don't need to make any more sense than the rest of the town. In either view, James came to Silent Hill to deal with his crime. He was indeed in a tough spot, and we can see how Mary's illness destroyed them both. The disease made her ugly and mean, and doomed her to a slow, lingering death. It destroyed their once happy marriage, and put James into a position where his loving wife was gone, and yet he was forced to continue to care for what was left of her. It's easy to see how he was tempted to put her out of her misery, with the added benefit of putting her out of his own. But once the deed was done, he was filled with guilt. He hated himself and wanted to suffer for his crime. So he was drawn to Silent Hill, where the ghost of the town made him face what he had done. Aside from Pyramid Head, the monsters in the game are feminine in one way or another. One is made of female mannequin parts, another is a nurse similar to the gruesome nurses in this recent Silent Hill movie. Another is an armless thing that doesn't look very female at first glance, but has female proportions, longer legs, shorter torso and a higher pitched voice. Finally, it's interesting that James is able to go to Silent Hill and find healing. Assuming you get to the good ending, that is. He leaves in better shape than when he arrived, by forcing him to endure dark horrors, by making him face his crime and understand it, and finally by letting him speak one last time with his late wife. The town helped him find the absolution he sought. The town saved him.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
I told you that I wanted to die, James. I wanted the pain to end.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer. No. That's not the whole truth. You also said that you didn't want to die. The truth is, part of me hated you for taking away my life.
You killed me, and you're suffering for it. It's enough, James.
Mary?
James.
Now I understand the real reason I came to this town. I wonder, what was I afraid of? Without you, Mary, I've got nothing. Now we can be together.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. Waiting for you to come to see me. But you never do. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you. Something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that. But I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. The doctor came today. He told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this may be my last chance. I think you know what I mean. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me, or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. We had some wonderful years together. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. That means that as you read this, I'm already dead. I can't tell you to remember me, but I can't bear for you to forget me. These last few years since I became ill, I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. Do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.
The town also never hurt Laura. It menaced Angela, but in the end she killed herself. It taunted Eddie, but in the end it was James that killed him. Taking all of this into account, we can see the town itself, while filled with horrible images, never really killed anyone. Note also that the town seemed to reflect what was in the heart of the visitor. In Silent Hill 2, the town was not truly evil, but simply a dark mirror that would bring out one's own inner demons and give them shape. Now we think back to the start of the game when James enters the wretched bathroom and takes a long look at himself in the mirror. Deep down, I think he knew why he was there. None of the other games had this particular take on the town. In the other iterations of the series, the town is clearly filled with evil powers. Yeah, and with that, people, I hope you've enjoyed this series, and I hope to see you again for further projects. So, thank you for watching. Till next time, goodbye.